It's interesting how you want to be remembered.
So I asked the question about what I hope the legacy is.
When thinking about your legacy, what are people going to remember about you, about your operation?
It's been an honor to be part of the Simmental family. And like any family, there is a legacy. And to me, the legacy is so important to continue on.
I hope the legacy for the next generation have the passion for our breed that we have spent a lifetime building.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the first ever annual bull sale at Crossroads Farms. For sure, I think I can go ahead and say that this has been talked about for a few years. These folks have wanted to do it, but as you people that know them well know, they don't do anything unless they do it right.
Welcome to Crossroad Farms. Our farm was established in 1974 by my parents, Gerald and Lori Woytiuk. Today, my wife Jacqueline and I, along with my kids, Olivia, Shelby, JC, and Cooper, operate the farm the way it is today. We have full-blood Simmentals that we started in the early 90s and then added the reds and the blacks a few years after that, and this is where we are at today.
I guess I'll start from the beginning, way back when.
Okay, my grandparents immigrated from Ukraine. My mom and dad grew up in the Kreider district, and I guess that's where they were born. And I was born in Hafford. And then in 1960, my dad bought some land up here at Shell Lake, and we moved up here. My dad run a mixed beef herd, as well as they also milked quite a few cows and shipped cream just to keep things going. And then I farmed alongside of him till I bought my own place. Okay, growing up, I went to school at a school called Lonesome Pine, and it was situated exactly where our sales barn is built here, right at the crossroads, where I guess our farm name was established after that. And then after 3 years of school at the Lonesome Pine School, I went to school in Shell Lake and finished up. And I forget what year it was, but I was 16 years old. I went to auction school in Iowa for a 2-week course, and then came back home. Had quite a few farm sales shortly after that till it got just too busy and shut that down too as well. Yeah, in 1973, this 4 quarters of land came up that we live on here that we bought for $38,500 with buildings and all. It seemed like a lot of money at that time, but it was tough when you had nothing. So
Been here for over 50 years. We moved into our mansion of a house that was built in 1913. It had single pane windows, and which had to have plastic on in the winter. It had a wood stove in the kitchen. That was our only source of heat. A dirt cellar, and we put straw bales around the outside in the winter too, which was really handy for the mice to come in and out. The first few years we didn't have a bunch of anything, money or grain or cattle, but we slowly built up through the years. We moved into the house in 1974 with our little baby Corey. A couple of years later, Jody came along in 1976. In 77, I loaded the 2 boys up with my sister Gayla and went to nursing school in Saskatoon. The following year, started working in Shellbrook, which I spent 10 years there on staff. And over time, the cattle herd slowly grew, and Gerald was farming, or got help from his dad, who lived a few miles down the road, and he would borrow his Ford 5000 tractor to do chores every day with no cab.
that we drove every day 2 miles with no cab to feed the bales and take it back. Done that for probably 2-3 years that we're able to get our own.
It was, thank goodness we didn't have hundreds of animals back then like we do now, but it was a lot of work. In the 80s, we rented a lot of land. We're farming a lot of acres. I wasn't able to keep nursing. I decided that I was just going to be a good farmer and a good cattle woman, and we had an awesome commercial herd, a cow-calf operation. And through those years, we all worked really, really hard. Jody, for a young fellow, he hauled a lot of chop, and he was baling when he was 10 years old.
Okay, so for me growing up as a kid, I guess it was the same as every other kid, I guess, that lived on a farm. It's something that you grew up and you like to do every day, and I love being there each and every moment of it. As far as either working with the cattle or working on the land, there was always something to do, and we didn't have a lot of money. There was always something to do to try and make ends meet.
You knew he was always going to be a farmer.
So from a young age, I always wanted to be a farmer. That was a dream of mine, and growing up through the early years, raised our cows and grew our crops. It was tough. It was a lot, and try to strive to produce something that we really, really wanted. And the purebred cattle deal was something that really intrigued us. After running multiple hundreds of commercial cattle, it was just something different in it. I guess it breathed fresh air into me. When I was young, I put my heart and soul into it, and this is where we are today. The purebred thing just sparked our interest. We looked at many different avenues as far as what to do or where to go, or talked to a lot of different people, and the Simmental thing interested us for a few years, and we jumped in with 2 feet, and sure glad we did. Just there's no better cross out there than a semi-cross animal on multiple different breeds.
I guess when we first started the Simmental business, it was sort of like a dream, I guess, to come true. So we bought a couple bred heifers to get started. I think our first year we had 5 bulls to sell. We sold them privately out of the yard.
And then finally, it was time for him to graduate. And our best hired man was going to be leaving. And that was a tough time for us, because what are we going to do now? It was just Gerald and I and Corey, and we decided we needed more. We needed more than just seed the crop, harvest the crop, calves born, sell them in the fall, and do it all over again. So we went to our first agribition, and we streamlined our ideas of what breed we wanted to be in. And after watching all the breed shows, we knew that Simmental was the only way to go. We knew from our past experience that that was the cow that you needed to raise the best calf that you could. And we started asking questions, talking to people, and that was the other thing that was really sent us in that direction, was the people. They were so friendly, so helpful, and we just felt like we really needed to explore this option. Now, money wasn't there, and we did ask some questions of how much would this one cost and how much would that one cost, and just to know where we needed to be, and that you didn't jump in and buy a whole bunch, because you needed to do some homework. So
Decided to buy some purebreds. We looked around. We made lots of miles looking at different sales, and then we finally went to Sensational in Regina. The ones we wanted we couldn't afford, but we landed up buying 2 bred heifers from Lost River Ranches, and that was our start.
when we had toured more shows and more yards, we got to know more people and went out into Alberta, went to Stuhlberg's, went to Stoughton's, went to Black Gold. We were just amazed with the Simmental breed and what they could produce on some of them. Not great grass.
As the years went on, we went to Sensational again, and we found one from a heifer from Barry Labatt called Francesca that we thought we should probably own, and she was just a heifer calf. We landed up paying, I think, 11.2 or 11.3 for her, which was a lot of money at those days, but it all turned good. She raised a $53,000 bull for us, so things were good.
Another herd that we bought from was Stuhlberg's. And we also started our embryo transplant adventure with them. The first cow we flushed, we got 6 embryos and we got 6 calves. And we thought, well, what's everybody talking about? Because they say it's so hard, and it was pretty sweet. And the next one, we had 18 unfertilized and no calves. And and today I think we put in almost 120 embryos this season. So that's always exciting. Calving is always exciting. Making new bloodlines, and it's interesting. We really enjoy it. Although I love every season. I love seeding and I love harvest, and every day is a good day actually when you live at Crossroad Farms. In those first few years when we had bought Simmentals and were trying to learn, because we didn't know how to read a pedigree or anything about them. So I asked questions. I just dove into research, into studying everything, learning everything I could about all the bloodlines that were out there, and I wanted one of each. I just was so excited about trying some of this or that or whatever, and still do to this day, still really do a lot of research into what direction our herd is going. And we started out with, at that time, everybody had full bloods, and they convinced me to go to reds and then to blacks. So after Jody graduated, he went to university for a year and decided that it was going to be a long time before he would ever achieve his goals of owning land and cattle. So then he went to welding school, and he worked all over Saskatchewan and into Manitoba just so that he could earn enough money to fulfill his dream. And I told him he couldn't come home until he had a section of land and 100 cows paid for in order for him to start. And he wasn't far from that when he did come home. But not only did he come home to farm, he brought home our Jackie, which we were so tickled with her. There was 4 babies, one after the other, that followed, and she's a huge part of our farm. She's the link between our generations. I'm so pleased to be handing over all of my many jobs that I've had for many years. I have no trouble just saying, here you go, and telling her that I will teach you everything that I know. And she's quite excited to pick up the torch and do it. So we're very, very lucky and very thankful.
After I was finished school, I went to university for a year and realized that that just wasn't where I needed to be, and I ended up taking welding and becoming a journeyman welder. It took me down a good road where I learned a lot of valuable things working for different people, and really appreciating what you have at home. You know, respect for people, and it teaches you a lot to go away sometimes, and it doesn't have to be for a long period of time, but it really makes you develop, I think, yourself as a person. It was good. It was good to have in your back pocket, and I'm glad I did that. And took that money that I made and invested it back into the farm, and it really, advanced on the farming end of things by doing that. So.
Well, I grew up in a small town outside of Saskatoon, so basically a city girl. And then I met Jody in Saskatoon when he was working there, and he brings me out to his farm, which was great because in my mind, I always wanted to grow up at a farm. My grandparents were grain farmers, so meeting Jody and then getting married in 2002, then you have to become a farmer really quick. But I was a teacher at the time, so I wasn't really around. I had a full-time job. We had kids pretty quick and pretty fast. We had 4 kids in 5 years. So it wasn't really a big part of the farm for a long time. I did all the books for both mine and Jody's farm and for Gerald and Laurie's, and that was pretty much the extent of what I did for a long time.
Every year we'd go on a customer tour to see how they were making out with their bulls that they had bought and see what their needs would be. And we always did our pictures early so that we'd have pictures of the bulls that were coming up so that they could see what we had to offer for the following year. Another thing that we really enjoyed doing was we had field days every summer for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, I guess. And it was awesome. We'd bring cattle in the summertime, and there was a lot of them were embryo transplants. So people had a hard time understanding that this isn't really the mothers of the cow. These are all full siblings. And we had guessing games, and we had a big meal, and was really a lot of fun, a lot of work too, but that was a good way of meeting people and getting our name out there.
What put us on the map in the industry, we did some extensive showing for a few years and did very, very well. One year in particular, in the late 90s, we were premier breeder and exhibitor in Lloyd, Saskatoon, and Agribition as well. And that was a big year. You know, that's a feat that not many people have the opportunities to get it done. And you know, it really put our foot on the ground, I think, and going forward, it's been strong ever since. So we used to sell our bulls private treaty off the yard. Started with just a few bulls, and it was easy, you know, just people come and have coffee. And but the more that you raised every year, it got a little tougher because it was like a race for the locals to come and having almost a war because you had two neighbors that wanted the same bull. And how do you set a price on that? It wasn't setting the price on it, it was who gets it. You know, do you pick one neighbor over the other? And that's when we decided to start selling some bulls at the Lloyd bull sale. And it was good for a lot of years until then again we had multiple bulls. We were taking from 15 to 20 bulls there, and it was a lot of work. And you're away from home for 3 or 4 days, and it makes it tough because someone's got to be there to do the chores, and yet you're still trying to market these bulls. And that's when we moved on to having discussions about having a sale on the farm. And there was a lot of discussion about it because we kind of live in the middle of nowhere, and the biggest concern was, were people going to come to a sale if we had one? So
I guess one of the most exciting things is in this business is back when we start selling bulls, you get to meet a lot of people. We've got people that bought bulls 30 years ago and they're still buying bulls from us, as well as they're scattered from BC to the States to Manitoba or even down east. We have sold cattle. So, you know, there's people just unbelievable, make friends with them, and they're very good. So, and then about 20 years ago, we built our barn, which we didn't know if anybody would want to drive out here and come way out this far, but it turned out very well. So we seem to fill the barn every year and have a very good sale. So
We were so excited when we decided we were going to build a barn and have an on-farm bull sale. Some people said that nobody would come. We were crazy. We lived way too far away. But we thought if we build it, they will come.
Came home one day and there was a sale barn being built. So I guess that was the start of having a sale on the farm. So surprise to me. And that year, Jody put a lot of work into that. He built the bleachers, he built the sales ring, he built the sales block, and he did that after his daily chores. So he'd come home, have a quick bite to eat for supper sometimes, and then he'd work till 1:30 in the morning building everything for the sale, and then back at it first thing in the morning the next day. So we really didn't see him for about 3 months as he got that ready. And you know, as a young mom, and you know, I wasn't very happy about it. And we had our first sale, and it was really a huge success right off the bat. Very scary leading into it because you don't know if you put all that money and that effort into something, if it's going to pan out. It's something a lot of people didn't do in a place like where we lived. We are, you know, at least an hour and a half north of Saskatoon. 2.5 hours from Lloyd. It's kind of not ideal. There's not places for people to stay. It's like they have to drive to the sale and go home. And that was the first sale. And I think we were all hooked right from that first sale of just how much fun it was. And we always say it every year. Sale day is like having a family wedding every year. It's all your when we count our customers as our friends and our family, and your neighbors were here, and all your family came to the sale, and we look forward to it even 20 years later of seeing everybody. And it's great to have a successful sale, but the best part of it is and having all those visits with all the people that come.
So who would be the hidden hero at Crossroad Farms? I guess we've had many good people over the years that have helped with our heavy workload in building this farm. But the most consistent one would be my younger sister, Gayla. In our early purebred days, she would take time off to come and watch Corey so that I could go and work at the fall shows. And she retired about 15 years ago and moved here to the farm to help with Corey and all the household chores and cooking for the crew, and so that I could be outside and manage all my farm duties. She's a really big help at the bull sale. We couldn't be without her. She's makes the popular Crossroad butter tarts and salads and helps with pierogies. She's been a huge help to us and is really appreciated. Corey grounded us. He taught us more than you could learn from all the books in the world. He died at home the morning after the bull sale in 2016. He fought hard to stay with us. The year after, at our cold February bull sale, a butterfly came, and he was dancing around with the kids, and I commented, "Look at that butterfly. It's like a little child that's never played before." And the butterfly came over and landed on my shoulder and stayed. The following 3 years, we had butterflies. The last year there was 2. He had found a friend. It was very comforting for us all. I wish that everybody that lost a loved one could have a butterfly too.
When I think about how Crossroad Farms was built, it makes me pretty proud. I see how hard my grandparents and my parents had to work to get to where we are today. And I think one of the best things looking back is that everyone is involved. Even now, everyone is involved. When you call the house phone 20 years ago or so, it wasn't just Gerald doing business. My grandma knew the ins and outs, and she wasn't just someone who cooked the meals and did all the chores and stuff like that. She did the research, she did a lot, and completely bought into being a good cattlewoman. And you can't help but to have tremendous amount of pride in your own farm and how you got to where you are today. And I think that the best thing about our farm is how everyone has a role, and it doesn't matter what it is, they're all equally as important. And so take yesterday, for example. We're currently harvesting and weaning calves, so it's either me and my sister combining with our 2 combines, my dad's trucking grain, my brother's in the same field baling, my grandpa's either cutting second cut hay or else he's swathing canola, mom's either doing books or helping weigh and wean the calves, Grandma, JC, and Auntie Gail are making the meal and making sure that we're all fed so we can keep working. And so it doesn't matter what the role is, but everyone has one and they're all equally as important. It's what makes our farm spin around. It just works because everyone wants to be there and everyone wants to help.
Our family's been very fortunate to be involved in the Simmental breed beyond the farm. Dad served on the SSA board for a couple of years, and me and Olivia just finished up our 2-year term on the Saskatchewan YCSA board. We've attended multiple provincial and national YCSA shows as a family, showcasing our animals and getting to talk with customers and meet new friends along the way. Some of my favorite memories on the farm is all the crazy stuff that us 4 kids got to do. My favorite being the couch we towed behind the truck with a tow rope one summer.
One of the best parts about growing up around the farm was having my grandparents be so close to us. A lot of my core memories involve them. In the same farmyard, my great aunt and my great grandma moved here about 10 years ago, and that was a big part of my childhood. My great aunt and my great grandma have taught me a lot about cooking and baking, and I spent most of my days there. And the harvest crew definitely enjoys that. Between that house and my grandparents' house, I spent a lot of time making pierogies and cabbage rolls and meals for the harvest crew and full sale time. I just learned a lot from both of them. Grandma Lori's the best grandma. We call her Grandma Dynamite, and she's always up to no good. Most of my memories with Gerald, or do, were opening gates with him and only letting him out once or twice and having a little bit of a meltdown, but Gerald fixed it for me, so it's okay.
My favorite thing to do is to go on tour with my dad and see different operations and meet different people throughout the breed.
I feel like from an industry standpoint, I think we've done very, very, very well, and it takes a lot, from extensive AI to a lot of embryo work that we've done over the years, and have had very, very good success at building these cow families, and raising some really, really good bulls by doing this. And we strive to be the very, very best we can be. I'm very, very particular as far as having my I's dotted and my T's crossed when it comes down to the finest things. And people will tell you that you guys are too fussy and take too much pride in what you do, but that's what we do. And customer care and support, we love taking care of our customers, and having a bond with them. It means a lot.
I think the hardest thing about becoming a farmer as an adult, or marrying a farmer, is adjusting to the amount of work that needs to be done. And if you want to be successful in this business, you have to put in a lot of hard work and long hours all the time. And that Jody and his mom and dad did that a lot. So I think that was the hardest thing to do. And I think that I learned maybe in the last 5 to 10 years is that, I can't sit at home waiting to have time together. You just join the work and you start working at the farm, and that's your time together. And then you learn how to do that in a fun way. The thing that I look forward to the most is the days we sort cattle to send to pasture. And I said, it's me and Jody and the kids and Gerald and Lori, and it's fun. When Jody got sick with cancer in 2020, it was a real eye-opener that I needed to learn everything I could as fast as I could. And it really changed the way we operated our farm. We needed to have multiple people know how to do multiple things in case something ever happened. Adjustment, it took 20 years to adjust, to be honest. But I couldn't ask for a better place to be.
We want our legacy to continue in the Simmental breed. I think we feel that the Simmental breed has the most room for diversity. There's tons of room for growth and change. And as we pass the torch on to the kids, I don't know where else we would want to be. It's just a great place to be, and there's so much room for the expansion for the next generation.
I think we're very thankful that we got to raise our 4 kids on a farm. I don't know if there's a better place to raise kids, especially nowadays. Our kids were always part, even when they were little. They had naps in the combine. They, were out on the quads with Jody. They learned to sort cattle at a young age. We don't do the get to sleep in all day. They had to get up and go to work and get things done. And I just think now that I see them grown up, they'll be good employees because of that to people, whether it's for us or someone else. It creates a work ethic that society really lacks now. And I think farm kids could carry a lot of our world these days because of the work ethic that's instilled in them from a very young age. So when COVID hit, everybody's like, oh my God, what are we going to do? We were excited. I said, we had extra hands at home. COVID hit when we were taking cows out to pasture. It was great. We had all these kids at home to help get calves processed and out to pasture. And I remember saying to Jody that day, I'm like, we're doing this every year. The kids aren't going to school, because it was fun. The work got done way faster because we had so much help. Yeah. And then, when Jody got sick, we had to pull our kids out of school because it was also COVID at the same time. And Jody couldn't work, and those kids had to work. When Jody got sick in 2020, he had to start treatments right away. We were able to finish harvest. But after that, you're bringing cows in, you're calving cows. He couldn't do any of that. So our kids stayed home from school. Olivia was grade 12, Shelby grade 10, JC grade 8, and Cooper grade 6. And those kids worked every single day. And that kept the farm going. There's no way we would have made it through that time without them. And they learned a ton. And I think that kind of just solidified for some of them that they wanted to be part of this farm. That's what they wanted to do. One thing that Jody and I really strive to do is let our kids be involved as much as they want to be. I strongly suggest communication, where we make decisions together. We include our kids in most decisions. You have to learn by doing, the old 4-H motto. And that's the same on a farm, and it's the same raising purebred cattle. It's one of those things, if you involve them, they will learn. You can't just expect them to know it when they're 25 and want to come home and farm. There's a lot of things to learn with purebred cattle, and you need to learn it over time. It's not something you just learn in an instant. So if you involve them young, they get excited about it and they want to be part of it. That's our goal. Carry on the legacy of Crossroad Farms to the next generation.
The impact that your farm or your brand makes in the industry is very, very important to see where you stand amongst, I guess, fellow breeders, and the respect and dignity that you get along the way, and there's friendships to be made, and your quality and care of your animals to be taken care of. And I feel there's so much involved in this breed, and it takes so much to create what you're happy with.
We love being part of the Simmental breed. We love the people that are involved in the Simmental breed. Some of our best friends are part of this breed, and even new people coming in, it's just fun to get to know new people as well. I still view myself as an outsider to Crossroad Farms in a way, because I feel like Jody and his mom and dad built this business, and when I sit back and look at how they built this business, it's on attention to detail. It's on treating your customers with the utmost respect. It's just going out of your way to create the best and work hard on that. And the biggest thing I think that they have is an eye for good cattle. And they've just always done everything to please their customer. And that's why customers keep coming back. They tell me that all the time. Maybe one day, another 20 years, I'll feel like I've had a big impact on that as well. But it sure makes you want to be like them and to continue that. And I see my kids following that same thing set out by Gerald, Lori, and Jody.
It was an easy decision to come up with the name Crossroad Farms because we lived at a crossroad. Every direction you went on that road was taking you somewhere important. Years later, our name would have more meaning as our family faced life and death situations. We have to send out a big thank you to the Simmental people for all of their support during these troubled times, their calls, their texts, their support, just a great bunch of people to have in your corner. We are proud to be standing here today, known as Crossroad Farms.
Over 30 years ago, Gerald, Lori, and Jody started in the Simmental breed, and they based their business on treating their customers well and valuing them. Whether they just come to view bulls or buyable for $4,000 or $50,000. They've always valued each customer the same. And I think that is an important part of our legacy. That and treating our customers well, taking care of them when we need to. I hope that that's the legacy of Crossroad Farms that continues to be carried on through the next generations.
I hope that the legacy of Crossroad Farms and for the next generation have the same passion for our breed that we have spent a lifetime building.
We hope the legacy of Crossroad Farm continues by not just surviving, but thriving for generations to come.
I hope that our legacy is to raise good quality cattle.
I think the best part about Crossroad Farms is how we do everything as a family. Everyone is involved in all the decisions we make, and if you ask any of us, we all know what's going on within the farm.
I would hope the legacy of Crossroad Farms is for us to be known as people-oriented. From day one, it's always been our customers first. We've always taken pride in our customers' success and offering the best of the best from our program for them, and maybe the odd pierogi.
I hope that our legacy is about doing things the right way. We take a tremendous amount of pride behind our values and we stick to them, and we've built something worth continuing, and it means the world to be part of something that's so much bigger than just myself.
The legacy of Crossroad Farms, it it started with my mom and dad. I guess I look at it as building blocks. They started the purebred Simmental operation and slowly built it up carefully and built the clientele. That customer relationship in my mind was very, very important. Taking care of these customers, raising the best cattle we could for them. We learned a lot along the way as far as the quality of cattle and what worked for us and what worked for them, and we're still learning. And I keep going back to those building blocks, like mom and dad being the first generation doing this, and now our kids, they're in line now and they're ready to handily take over, I think, and pretty proud of that. Pretty all involved from all aspects of it, and it's been a great ride as far as from showing cattle to raising them and watching them develop and the genetics of it, the numbers game of it, and we had a lot of fun doing it. And with me raising our family with my wife, it's been, I don't know how to even describe it. It's been very entertaining over the years. Lots of learning curves. It's just been a really good lifestyle, growing our kids and raising these cattle. We've been across North America touring and looking at animals. I don't know where else I could be today that would be much better. I hope the next generation carries on with it, and I think they've got the right foot forward, and I'm pretty proud.